IU East beats Rio Grande on Lingle Court, and the College of Idaho retakes the lead in the Cascade Conference. Cascade Hoops Talk starts right now. Not a huge night of action, but plenty to talk about. Just a reminder that we are actually now here on January 15th. The new NAIA Top 25 comes out today. Best place to find it. It comes out on the NAIA X page first, usually round 8. Start watching for it about 7:30 Pacific, somewhere in there. But I've always found that that is the fastest way to find it. Hey, one big milestone to talk about, Caleb Lowry. Congratulations to him. He is now in the 2,000-point club. That's pretty significant. He's only the fourth player in the Masters history to reach that mark, and think about all the great players they've had there. But Caleb Lowry is definitely a special talent. Congratulations to him, and he's got plenty more points left in him. Well, I mentioned College of Idaho. They hosted Eastern Oregon tonight. I think this is a matchup problem game for Eastern Oregon. Is actually a good basketball team. This is 2 times in a row they've just gotten throttled by the College of Idaho, 89-61. Johnny Radford, he was on fire. He went 4 for 5 from 3, 19.6 rebounds. Young Dougie Peoples, he's having a great year, sophomore year, 15 points, 2 rebounds. So the Yotes, they go to 14-2. They're going to host Multnomah and Warner Pacific this weekend. Now, Multnomah, remember we talked about yesterday, there's just an announcement that that school is dropping all the undergraduate programs and NAIA athletics after this season. So will that Multnomah team, which is a very skilled team, will they show up in Caldwell hungry, or will they be, down? If they're hungry, they could upset College of Idaho, or it could end up being a 50-point blowout. We're going to have to see which Multnomah shows up. Taking a look now at just the one game, but as I said, the College of Idaho retakes that half-game lead over Oregon Tech, and now a one full game lead over LC State. So this weekend, LC State's going to be playing Southern Oregon on Friday, Oregon Tech on Saturday, and Multnomah is going to play College of Idaho on Friday and Eastern Oregon on Saturday. Those are games that can really move the needle. Another team that could sneak up there if Multnomah falters is Corbin. Corbin's playing Evergreen and Northwest. Those are 2 games we expect them to win, so they could definitely move up in those standings. Really good race, just like races all around the country. In the Red River Conference, couple games. One we want to talk about, North American, not on my bingo card, beat Xavier. But North American, they went through a stretch. I think they lost 7 out of 8, and I'm trying to remember. I think they've now won 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5 or something like that. They're on a bit of a roll. They beat Xavier tonight at Xavier. Cannot be discounted. Shreveport also won. That was significant. I'll tell you why. So we look at the standings. Alexandria still has, what is that, three-game lead over Our Lady of the Lake, and Our Lady of the Lake is tied with Xavier for second. Then Texarkana, then LSU Shreveport. So let's look at Thursday. Our Lady of the Lake, they need to win. They're going to be playing at Jarvis Christian. On the road's always tough. I circled this game because, as I said, North American is hot. Want to see just how good they are. And then Louisiana Christian has gotten hot as well. So that could be a good battle. Those 2 teams right here are, North American is way down here, but Louisiana Christian is trying to break into that top group. And then Xavier is going to host Houston Tillotson. That's almost a must-win game for Xavier. Let's look at the American Midwest, just a couple of games there. One non-conference game, but Missouri Baptist won, and so did Crowley's Ridge. A couple of names you really haven't heard in the last few years talking about championship basketball. But look at Crowley's Ridge is 5-2 in that AMC, as is Missouri Baptist. Of course, Central Baptist is leading the conference. William Woods and Columbia are 5-1. Tight battle, as we say, just like every place else. So Thursday, Central Baptist is going to be playing Columbia, 7-0 versus 5-1, and then William Woods is going to be at Missouri Baptist. So Missouri Baptist is 5-2. William Woods is 5-1. Couple big battles coming up in the AMC. Hey, I guess it's KCAC week for Billy D. Yesterday we had talked Friends Falcons basketball. Today we have Troy Brown. He's the head men's basketball coach, St. Mary Spires. Great guy. He's been at there. I'm trying to remember, about 10 years, something like that. He's been there quite a while. He's done a really good job there. And right now they're leading the conference. So let's take a listen to Troy Brown, St. Mary Spires. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Troy Brown. He's the head men's basketball coach, St. Mary Spires. Thank you, Coach, for being on the show.
Appreciate you having me.
So, Coach, the KCAC is a very interesting conference, like a lot of them are this season. I want to talk some particulars, but, you've been around NAIA basketball and around the KCAC in one form or another almost 25 years as a head coach for 10 now. Just what do you see in that conference this year that is any different or better, or do you see anything different with it? It just seems super competitive.
Yeah, it's definitely way more competitive than when I first started here 10 years ago. I think talent-wise, the league is way better than it was 10 years ago. The coaches seem like they're getting younger, and they're thirsty and they recruit really well. So if we're not on our game recruiting-wise, it's talent-wise, it's off the chains. Last 10 years ago, it's been seems like you always have shooters in the KCAC, and it seems like now there's plenty of shooters. There's guys that can get downhill. We seem like the league is getting bigger and bigger. When I played 20 years ago, I think our seemed like our fives were about 6'5", 6'4" athletes. Now you're getting 6'7", 6'8", and you put shooters around them, and you have a guard, point guards that can shoot as well. The league is getting a lot harder than it was 10 years ago, and the coaching has been getting better and better. It seems like younger and younger, passionate coaches that get out and do a really good job recruiting. So if you have a bad recruiting class, you're gonna really feel it in the KCAC because it is getting harder. It's a lot harder than it was 20 years ago. It's a lot harder than it was 10 years ago when I first started.
Yeah, that's a good point. Coach, I always say that you guys are in a profession. You're basically in an arms race because, you get somebody and you look up, somebody 60 miles down the road picks up somebody else and you go, oh my goodness, and every year you think you got a great recruiting class and you start reading about other teams and then the athletes, the not only bigger, but the athleticism of the game in the last 20 years has exploded, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It certainly has. But I think, the biggest thing that, I don't try to pay too close attention to what other teams recruit and get. I know, I got a certain system that we play with defensively, and I know they got to be able to guard 1 through 5 because we switch 1 through 5. And if so a coach that would like a 6'7", 6'8" big that plays block to block, it's not really good for what we do at St. Mary. We like those 6'5" to 6'7" guys that can switch 1 through 5 and guard a basketball and play on the perimeter. But I think what the KCAC coaches have done very well is identify who they are and what they are, and they've gone out and done a really good job recruiting. So it's very important nowadays to not miss on a recruiting class.
So you look at the KCAC, the way I follow NAIA basketball is I follow the conferences. It's the only way I can make sense of it. But the race is incredible. You guys are at 9-1. You just fell to Bethel the other day. But, only a game behind you as Friends. We just talked to them yesterday. Ottawa's another game, a half game back from that. But here's how tough it is, Coach. You've won 10 of your last 11 games. And you're one game up in the conference. You just can't feel comfortable about it, can you?
No, No, you can't have an off night, and we're getting to the point of the season now where we're seeing teams, second time around. So the games are going to get even harder. I mean, teams know what you do now. They just got enough things on tape to see what your tendencies are, and they try to take advantage of it. That comes back to the coaching in the league has been really done a really good job at that. But yeah, and there's a lot of season left, a lot of season. I mean, we're only 10 games in. We have 12. We're not even halfway through it yet. And, that's kind of why, like Friends is one game back. And with our unbalanced schedule, we only play them one time this year, and it's on the road. So that game right there is going to be really huge. But, I try to tell our guys not to look too far ahead. It's only one game in front of you. You got to go 1-0. And York is there, and York is – we beat them at our place second game of the year, but they are a completely different team at home. So we got to be ready to go. It's going to get tougher it's going to get tougher, and that target on your back is a lot bigger when you're sitting in first because everybody wants to be there. So
yeah, and everybody's cheering for the guy who's playing you because they know they need some help.
Yep, that's correct.
Coach, you talked about going on the road. The greatest saying I ever heard, I don't know who said it, was, Coach, what was your greatest win ever? He said, every road game. It is hard to win on the road, isn't it?
It's extremely hard. I mean, I just looked point differential for our wins this year in conference, and we're winning by 15 points a game at home, and it's like 4 on the road. That was before the Bethel game. So it's you gotta be 6, 7, 8 possessions better because you like to get some hometown calls when you're at home from the officials. That's just the way it is, and we always tell our guys, just play the game on the court, don't worry about the officials. But you want to get calls on the road, or you want to get calls when you're at home, so you're playing that game and you're on the road. And like with us, our closest game is Avila, which is 30 minutes down the road, but most of our travel time is 3 to 4 hours. So that's why it's harder for us to go on the road, and it's harder for other teams to come here and win when they travel, because a lot of the teams are down the Wichita area, so they don't have to travel as far. So us playing at home, it's very, very important we win if we want to win conference this year, we can't drop any games at home, and we got to be able to go on the road and steal some games, which I thought we did when we went and played Oklahoma Wesleyan last Wednesday.
Yeah. So when you play on Wednesday, you play a lot of times at 8:00. And then you're done, correct. By the time you're out of the gym, it's 10:15. Do you come straight back to campus?
We do. Yep.
Oh, that's a late night for the guys in the middle of the week, isn't it?
That is a late night. We got home about 1:30, 2 o'clock after Oklahoma Wesleyan, and long road trip. I don't want to make any excuses for it, but you travel a long road trip from Oklahoma Wesleyan, and guys got to get up for early morning classes on Thursday, and then we're trying to prepare to go on the road again at Bethel on Saturday. So those Wednesdays can be late nights for us, especially Oklahoma Wesleyan and the York. So we got to do on this Wednesday. York is a 3.5, almost 4-hour drive as well.
Yeah, and like you say, you got to ignore the record when you go on the road. I mean, anybody can beat anybody in their home court.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, go ahead. No, you just can't be paying attention to records. That's irrelevant at this point of the year.
Let's talk a little bit about the Spires. As I said, you're 9-1 in conference. You had 10 in a row before you went to Bethel. Bethel's a tough place to play. That's a historic program. But when I kind of break down your team, I'm assuming that you really like to get up and down the court. You play, for the most part, a smaller lineup. You like to put the 3 up. You get out rebounded. It looks like you try to make up with that for more possessions.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you do? Is that kind of the style?
Yeah, we're not a very good rebounding team. We've made that real clear this year. We don't rebound the ball very well, but we try to make up for it. We haven't done as great of a job since we came back from break, but we were averaging 6 to 7 turnovers a game. So, I think taking care of the ball and getting those extra possessions really kind of negate the rebounding deficiency we have. But we are a smaller. I would say we're a smaller front court team. We go 6'5", 6'6", 6'6", 6'7", but our guards we're not too small at the guard spot. We'll go 6'3", 6'3", 6'4", got some 6'5s in there. And like I said, it's just we love to play fast, and we want to play fast, and we only can play fast when we're getting stops. And we're really our identity is defensively, and we got to get stops, and that's where our kind of our niche and our identity is getting stops and then getting out on break and pushing the transition from those stops. So yeah, we love to shoot threes. I got a lot of guys that like shoot threes, and you're always tough when you have shooters on the court. You just got to get those shooters to play some defense too.
So I assume the way you describe your team, I'm assuming Joey Schultz can get up and down the court. He's a pretty big guy, 6'8".
Yeah.
He can pop the three too. I'm assuming he can move pretty well.
Yeah, he's not he's not a real half court. He's not great in the half court, but he's our best transition guy. He can get out, he can finish at the rim. He doesn't shoot a ton of threes, but when he's open, he can hit big shots, which makes defenders have to get out that, and he's really good at getting downhill. He can finish around the rim, but his bread and butter is out. His bread and butter is out in transition and making plays. Good passer. He sees the court. He's taller. He's long. He's lanky. He is our best probably transition basketball player to get out and run, and with his length that really helps, especially when you put shooters around him. Shooters that can knock shots down from his passes, and it keeps when you got shooters around him, it keeps the angles open for him to get downhill. I don't know how many baseline drives he's had off skip passes where he's dunked the basketball, and it's just because you can't really help off of him. But yeah.
So a couple of your big minutes guys, Jordan Brown, he averages 16 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, and Bryce Johnson saying he's playing 28 minutes a game, averaging 13 points a game. Talk about those two guys.
Yeah, well, Jordan's my son, so it's
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's his second year. He was a Division II transfer from Emporia State. He redshirted his first year there, and then decided to come back and play for Dad and put a St. Mary uniform on. But he's him and Jordan and Bryce are probably our two best offensive basketball players, kind of our X factors. Jordan's a guy that, he's never seen a bad shot. He'll shoot it from 25, 30 feet. And I think one thing he's gotten a lot better at this year is just not chucking those threes up. He's way more efficient at getting downhill, and he's finally understanding that, he can get around. He can get around these players with his drive in the KCAC, and even though he's not strong, he's very talented and skilled and has a good floater and can finish around the rim and make all the plays, make all the passes, skilled at dribbling and stuff. But and you put Bryce around him, and Bryce is kind of a 3-4, but we play him at the 5. Does a really good job of ball screening and getting kind of those soft spots. We'll tag, ball screen, and get him the ball where he can really. His bread and butter is kind of that mid-range game, and he does a really good job at ball screening and getting to those mid-range and hitting those shots. And he's kind of our X factor. But very, very athletic guy, and that's kind of, we don't have a block-to-block big. We kind of use guys like Bryce Johnson that are 6'6", 6'7" ish, somewhere in there, and that can play on the perimeter, shooting really good from 3 this year. And I think Bryce is actually leading our team in assists this year, which kind of says a lot about our offense and how well we move the ball and how well we share the ball. And our whole starting 5 is close to averaging 10 to 15 to 16 points a game. So any night it could be Jordan that scores 25, Bryce could score 25, Joey could go off for 20. That's kind of who we are. That's kind of what, if we can get them to play defense and just share the ball on offense and not turn it over, we should have a good night.
You got to feel pretty good about your future as well. You're playing, you got some sophomores that are getting big minutes. Not only Jordan, but I was just going through it. I think I'm going to mess up now. I think, Alexander's, but Caden Bonner.
He's a senior. Caden
Bonner's a sophomore, and Parson is a sophomore.
Yeah.
But all these guys are getting, double-digit minutes. That really bodes well. That means a lot, doesn't it? Getting those guys on the court.
Yeah, it's not just like, we're not just getting them on the court just so they can be ready. They're guys that are already ready. They're helping us win games. Like you mentioned, Caden is I don't know what he's shooting from 3. It's 40 plus, I think, percent.
Yeah, 40, 42.
Knockdown 3 guy, and he takes care of the ball. He's not a kid that's just going to blow by you, but he's kind of got that little older man's game where he's going to kind of set you up, and he's going to get to his spot. And if you give him any inch, any space, he's going to knock a shot down. And hit a couple game winners for us this year already. Him and Jordan as sophomores. And you talk about Jason being a sophomore. Yeah, we didn't really know what we had with Jason. He was a freshman that played JV for us last year, and
Yeah.
a kid that just works hard. I mean, we tell him, Jason, change the temperature for us. You need come off the bench, get in the game, change the temperature for us, and he does. He's a kid that fits what we do perfectly. He can guard a 1 through 5. He's got an unbelievable motor on him. He can rebound. He defends. Takes care of the basketball too. I think he's got more assists and turnovers as well.
Wow.
So just a kid that's very coachable. And those 3 sophomores, man, our future is bright. We got some juniors. We had a kid that played a lot for us first semester that's ineligible. This semester he'll be back as a senior, averaging 15 for us. Damari Smith, he'll be back as a senior. I am really excited for our future. It is bright. I don't want to think about next year right now yet.
Oh, I understand. I was just looking at
keep trying to win these.
I was just looking at your lineup. I was just surprised. The big minutes you're getting, a lot of sophomores are getting, and you're doing very, very well. Yeah. So I want to ask you about, you're in a tight race. pretty obvious. This is a war this year, and you got a couple of games coming up that if you look at it on paper, it's like, okay, the Spires should pull these out. Coach, I hate those kind of games. I mean, how do you get your team ready and make sure you don't slip up and they don't start, peeking around the corner at Ottawa?
Yeah, well, I think we just got to look. I don't tell guys to look back, but I think you just got to look back on Saturday's game. Mm-hmm. Like this can happen. It happens, especially on the road. You got to be dang near perfect. If we're not prepared and we're not preparing every day for the next game and preparing better than what York is, we're going to get beat.
Yep.
And I think at the end of the day, really good teams focus on what they do well. We are getting ready for York, but it is about us, and it's about what we do defensively. It's about what we do offensively. And if we're focused on those things, I feel comfortable about our team. If we don't have energy, which was one thing we did not have, that's the one thing I was upset about us getting beat by Bethel. I thought we didn't come out. We weren't ready to compete. I was talking to Jason at Bethel, and I told him, I was like, no offense to you guys, but I thought we beat ourselves, mm-hmm. and that's what I thought. I thought we beat ourselves, and that can't happen if you want to put a ring on your finger. Those teams got to be better than you that one day, and we can't beat ourselves. We can't self-destruct.
No, absolutely.
That's kind of been my thing last couple of days is we cannot self-destruct.
So, Coach, it's a heck of a conference race right now. Everybody's chasing you. Are you having fun?
No.
Well, you're an honest man.
Hey, man. Hey, it's easy. But a year ago, we were first semester. We were 1-7 in league. And I knew we had talented players. I knew our seniors were buying in. My son Jordan was ineligible first semester. We were getting him back.
Right.
I knew we could go on a run, and we did go 13-4 second semester. It is way easier to be 1-7 and win games than it is being 9-1.
Good point.
Everybody's gunning for you. Yep. So, I mean, I'll enjoy it when the year's over because I know we've competed, and whatever happens, getting first or whatever it is, I know we competed, and I know we got the program in a good spot. But am I having fun? I'll have fun when March is over with.
Coach, real quick, I was just talking to a friend of mine this morning about that because we go to games that aren't the conference games around when schedule fits. We'll get to them, and we'll see people play, and we'll go, okay, they're this and that. We'll make a judgment on them, and then we'll see them play like 3 weeks later in a big game.
Yeah.
And we'll go, whoa, that's not the team we saw 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When that big game comes up, I mean, the tone changes and teams come after you. Yeah. So, you're exactly right. I see that as well. Well, I'm sure every coach in the country sees it too, right? So.
Yeah, it's one day at a time, and you just gotta focus on your team and focus on what you do well and making sure guys are locked in.
Well, Coach Brown, I really appreciate you taking a couple minutes, talk some KCAC basketball, just to try to enjoy the ride because great conference races it's rare to get a really good tight race, and just enjoy it down the stretch because you'll look back on it. It's really special to be involved in it.
Well, I appreciate the time, Bill. Thank you for everything you do, and I look forward to maybe talking to you again down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Coach Troy Brown. He's the head men's basketball coach, St. Mary Spires. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Bill.
Hey, thanks a lot to Coach Brown there at St. Mary Spires. Also, thank you to the University of St. Mary. Boy, just watch that KCAC race. It's it's a battle. But again, I'm going to say it for 1,000th time. I mean, there are battles all over the country. Let's keep going now. Let's jump over to the River States, where University of Rio Grande, they had to go over to Lingle Court, and they played IU East. Always a tough place to play, but IU East got them 65-53. Jake Johnson, he had 14 points, 8 rebounds, and Toby Billups, 14 points, 8 assists. So Rio Grande goes down. They go to 13-4. They're going to be at Brescia on Saturday, taking a little bit of a closer look at the River States Conference. IU Kokomo defeated St. Mary Woods. Big win for Kokomo, not a tough loss for St. Mary Woods. West Virginia Tech went down to Midway. I didn't see that one coming. And then Shawnee State, a good win for them as they beat Alice Lloyd. Let's look at the standings. St. Mary Woods and IU Kokomo, Rio Grande are all 4-1. Still a ton of basketball to play in this conference. IU East and Indiana Southeast are a game back at 3-2. So on Saturday, we got Midway at St. Mary Woods. Big game. IU East at Kokomo. That's going to be, I predict that's going to be pretty crazy game. And then Rio Grande, they need to win. They're going to be at Brescia, so they're on the road. And you know what I think about being on the road. It's tough, tough, tough. So watch those games this weekend. In the HBCU, Stillman fell. That was a bit of a surprise. Talladega got them 63-61. So Stillman and Tougaloo are now tied. No. I didn't update this because it was just a one game. So Stillman is now at 8-2. So now Tougaloo is in first place. By mathematically, I don't know what it would be since it's one game. It's about a half game, let's call it. But still, it's Tougaloo, Stillman, and Dillard, and then Suno is a half game back from that. So Dillard and Tougaloo will play on Thursday, and Virgin Islands at Philander Smith. Philander Smith, they're 7-4, and the Virgin Islands can knock you off. Philander Smith is at home. They should be favored there, but keep an eye on that game. One more conference in action in the southern states. Middle Georgia beat Faulkner. That was a big game because you can see that Middle Georgia is 5-2. They're all chasing Dalton State. You can see the standings there. So on Thursday, Bruton Parker is at Life. Life is trying to stay up atop the conference, chasing Dalton State. And then Middle Georgia, they're at Mobile. So these two are right together in the standings, 5-2 and 6-2. So they're 6-2 and 5-2. So this is a big game for position. There, you're all caught up. So thank you very much. Tomorrow, join us. We're going to have Sean Dooley. He's the head men's basketball coach at Baker. They're the Wildcats. Join us tomorrow. And that's all I got. May the good Lord smile upon you. Boy, I messed that one up. May the good Lord smile upon you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.